So, hi guys. We're kind of running over. I just got a call from somebody in Gold Mastery, and Miss Jackie needs help on a property that she is looking at. So, what I thought is, why not go over, run over? So, this is another property which basically, if it works out at the right number, this is a home run deal. And the key issue is, it's another auction that we're going after, and it's not a traditional auction. It's basically, the bank said that they placed a minimum bid out there of about 50,000, I think, at this point. And now the question is, they're saying pretty much put in your highest and best, and you kind of win the bid. So the property's a mess. We know there was a huge leak in the roof, and we're going to go out there and find out. So if you're looking for deals, if you're somebody who says, oh my God, I want to find deals like these guys at Chicago Flipping, guess what? You're going to have to run out there at a short notice sometimes to go look at the right properties. So in a minute or two, we should be at the home, and then we'll look at it and we'll figure out what makes sense. So, hi guys. We're kind of running over. I just got a call from somebody in Gold Mastery, and Miss Jackie needs help on a property that she is looking at. So what I thought is, why not go over, run over? So this is another property which basically, if it works out at the right number, this is a home run deal. And the key issue is, it's another auction that we're going after, and it's not a traditional auction. It's basically, the bank said that they placed a minimum bid out there of about 50,000, I think, at this point. And now the question is, they're saying pretty much put in your highest and best, and you kind of win the bid. So the property's a mess. We know there was a huge leak in the roof, and we're going to go out there and find out. So if you're looking for deals, if you're somebody who says, oh my God, I want to find deals like these guys at Chicago Flipping, guess what? You're going to have to run out there at a short notice sometimes to go look at the right properties. So in a minute or two, we should be at the home, and then we'll look at it and we'll figure out what makes sense. Okay, so here we are at the property. So, I mean, this thing is a royal mess. You guys can see kind of the roof in there. We don't have access yet to the inside of the property, so it's basically a complete mess. The other thing that one of the negative factors we look at is that the driveway, it pitches kind of towards the house, so clearly there needs to be a grate or something put all the way at the bottom whenever somebody does a flip rehab, because that's going to be a issue. I wish I could shoot some of the interior footage, because I think we would capture some really fun mess inside. We'll see if we can get into it a little bit later, but we wanted to come out and take a look at the property for Miss Jackie, so that she can make a informed decision as to what to do with the property.
Okay, so hi guys, this is Andrew, and we have Miss Jackie on the webinar today because she made, I guess, what we call is a 911 call to us. In this case, it's not a emergency 911; it's a house emergency 911. So, Miss Jackie, what's up?
Found a property on auction.com, and auction actually ends this morning. And it's for a 2-bedroom, and the question is, does it have 1 or 2 baths, which we can't tell because we can't get into the property. I could tell it had roofing issues from the outside. Also, from looking in the windows, you could see debris on the living room floor from said roofing issue. It looks rough on the inside from what I can see. But the outside doesn't look too bad. It's in a pretty good area, which is Palatine, Illinois. And just wanted your help to find out, should I bid on this thing? Should I not? Should I bid on it to hopefully wholesale it? Should I bid on it to maybe work on it myself, or hold it for a rental, or what to do? So
Okay,
that's my 911.
So the next, I guess, process is going to be is that it's going to be basically going through the property and taking a look at it. So I'm going to kind of, for everybody that is not on the webinar, we're going to clip in at a later point and show kind of the video of what we saw when we went out to the property. So at this point, we already have an idea of that because yesterday I did go out for you and took a look at it before I knew I was going to record this. And we're going to go through the process that we would for mastery. I'm just going to do it kind of really quickly so that at least you get an idea exactly what to bid on it. So the whole process. So at this point, we have already looked at the property, and we're going to figure out what makes sense, what are the numbers, and what should we bid on it, and how do we go through that process. So it's a three-step process. Obviously, number one is the property, taking a look at it, visual outside inspection, if inside inspection is possible. Then we do what it's called a three-pager. So I went through the three-pager and kind of, I don't have the filled out version here, but I kind of went through the whole entire thing. What are the good things? What are the property details here? Then what are we going to do with it? In this case, either it's a flip or a wholesale. And then we went through, okay, what is the due diligence process? So the last piece of it, I have not done yet because we will have a little bit of time. We did do a FOIA already, but we don't have a response back yet. And then I want to kind of really briefly go through kind of the numbers. So let's go through the numbers on this. First, figure out, okay, how much would it take to fix this property? So let me close the three-pager out. And let's see, where did I put? Okay, here we go. So what I did was, Ms. Jackie, after our visit yesterday, I went through and I filled out the three-pager, page one, and I filled out the quick rehab estimator. So I put in kind of all the values of what it would cost in terms of repairing this entire property and making it mint. So if you're going to wholesale it, you need to know that. If you're going to flip it, you need to know that, especially if you're going to flip it. But I'm coming up with an estimate of about 84,000, assuming we're not running into any big problems. That's kind of where it's going to be. Now, there may be a little bit more for landscaping and such. So I'm going to basically work off of about a $90,000 number. I think we will be very, very safe with that number. May be able to be done a little bit cheaper, but that's kind of the number, at least at this point, that we feel comfortable with. So that's the number we will work off of. So let's go first and let's kind of look at the comps a little bit and see exactly what the property is and what it looks like. So, okay, so you had said the property is in Palatine. So I kind of went in the MLS, pulled up all the properties that are active. We want to get an idea of what are the comps in that area. What does a property like that sell like? Now, this can be done through Zillow, Redfin, a bunch of different apps. Obviously, MLS makes our life easier. So first, I'm going to kind of look in 12 months what has happened in that adjacent area. So I put this house over there in the center, and I said about a half-mile radius because I don't need to go a mile out because this is a fairly populated area. So we're going to say okay, and then let's see how many properties come up. So 56 properties. So pretty, a lot of stuff going on. And if we put view maps, map results, so there are properties. The most inexpensive property right now is 152,000, which is a ranch. And then if we go on the high side, we're going to have obviously much larger homes, which are going to be around, all the way to 700,000. I thought it would stop at 550. So these are clearly completely new construction. So we know we don't have this in that particular property. So we're going to go back and then refine our criteria a little bit. We're going to go max of 3 bedrooms is what we're going to put because we know there's no way to put four bedrooms in this property just can't be done. And it's not a traditional two-story. It's basically a split level type of a setup on this. And the only other factor, which I think maybe some people might have an issue with, is it only has one car garage. So let me just limit the search by about three bedrooms, and I'm going to limit the search around 300,000 on the max end, and then let's see what it shows up. So it basically cuts down the results in half, about 30,000. Now, how did I come up with the 300,000? We know that it's not going to go above that. I mean, it's just not possible for that type of a property given the area. So that's just an estimate I'm using. I'm going to go back to map results, and now I'm going to go and look up what do fixed up properties in this ballpark that look kind of similar, maybe ranches, maybe split levels. What are they selling for? And if you guys, if you can see, Ms. Jackie, we're kind of at 250. We have properties here. Let's go a little bit higher. So something like this, I think, is a good comp. This is going to be a little bit bigger property. This is one and a half, one full and two half baths. So a little bit bigger than our subject property, but similar style of a house. The footprint we have on the house is only a 1,000 something square feet, I believe, or 1,200 square feet, not quite as big as this. So there are 250, 260, 265, 285, right down the street on Schiller. So nice house, completely redone. So, Mishak, you can see the pictures on my computer?
Yep.
Okay. So you think this is kind of a grade? Maybe it can be done, obviously, even nicer than this, but this is a pretty good grade of a house to compare it to once it's completely done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's,
So I think, just quickly, now, mind you, we can get into a lot of details, but just for this sort of a thing, because we're kind of in a rush, we need to make a decision, that I feel pretty comfortable around the 265, 270, in that ballpark. Maybe just be a
that's
little
more
bit
than I
conservative.
anticipated.
Yeah, no, I mean, the comps are definitely there. Um, it's just a matter of, because if you see the bottom end of that market is at 150s right now. Now obviously this is a property that probably needed a bunch of updating and that sort of thing. So one car garages. So the kind of the negative factor, the way we look at it, is that one negative thing is that it has a pitched driveway towards the house, and it's only a one car garage. And I wish the footprint of the house was a little bit bigger. So those are square footage we can't change. The garage is the way it is. So those are just kind of things we have to live with in that property. So maybe we'll just be conservative and go around 260, completely fixed up in absolutely mint condition. I think 250 is more like it. So let's do the numbers both ways. Let's do the numbers if you were going to flip it versus if you were going to wholesale it. I think there'd be a little bit a difference in numbers. When you're going to flip it yourself, obviously you want to be as conservative as possible rather than if you're just wholesaling the property. So we close this sheet out. And then, so basically about 84,000 is what we came up with. So we're going to go to our mastery calculator. And in this case, I'm going to use our flipping calculator. So let's start with entering our values at about, let's just say 260 for now, as if assuming you were going to wholesale it. The purchase related costs on this particular property are going to be 5%, is what the purchase related costs are. And they know because they're asking for that basically. It's agent premium or whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to say I'm going to use 4,000 approximately, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. And then if you're going to, let's say, do the flip, would you be borrowing money or would you be using your own funds?
I would probably be borrowing money.
You'd be borrowing money. Okay, so let's say that you're going to, so basically, I'm just going to take a guesstimate on it, and I'm going to guesstimate it about for every 100,000, 1% a month or so is what I'm going to basically base it on. So based on that, I'm going to basically be 1,800 per month. That is your carrying cost, and whole time I'm going to put it for 8 months just because to be conservative. I believe it can be done quickly this time of the year, but we'll just be conservative. Do you know by any chance what the taxes are?
I can find out, but I don't have that
Okay, it's going to be about
handy right
4 or 5 thousand. So I'm going to just use 500 bucks, for right now, and I'm going to use about 60 bucks per month for insurance costs. And we said 84,000, so let's just go with a 85,000 number here for from a rehab perspective. And the other expenses per month is about 100 bucks, and we're using 5% as our selling costs. So assuming, let's just say you have, um, you do the rehab on the property based on making about between 15 to 20,000 for every 100,000 invested. If you were to do it, ideally, Ms. Jackie, what would you like to make on the property? If you were going to do a flip,
this kind of property based on what we're talking. Well, I mean, you almost
what
have
would
to.
your ideal number be? Let's just go from there.
Uh, about 100,000.
You want to make 100,000 on it? I think that's going to be
Sure.
a bit aggressive. So I think a reasonable number on a property like this is about 50 to 60,000. I wouldn't do it
That'll
for
work.
less than that. So let's just use 55 for now, and we'll just see how the numbers play out. So assuming that you want to make a $55,000 profit at 260, what is the max we should pay for it? The max that you can afford to pay for the property, assuming property is going to sell around 260, all these numbers are kind of within the lines. That means your total cost on the property is 180 in terms of repairs, in terms of all that kind of stuff. And so the max offer that you can make is 79,420.
Hello.
Hello. So now the question is that can you get it for that price, or are the bids even over that right now? Are you with me, or did I lose you? Miss Jackie, are you there?
Sorry, having technical difficulties on my end.
No problem. So you saw the number of 79,420 is what, based on these numbers, that's the max that you could bid on this property. So based on that, are the bids even above that already, or can you get it at that price?
Based on the last time I checked the bid amounts, based on that, it was already bid up to 85,000.
Up to 85,000. So somebody thinks that they can basically, either they think that they can sell the property for more, which I doubt it, or they think they can do the repairs at a little bit less money. So let's just say, let's just assume for a second that the repairs could be done for 65. I'm not saying they can be, I'm just saying, let's just say they could be. So if they could be done for 65,000, what it'll do is it'll kind of change our number, that you could pay up to $99,000 for that property and still be okay, assuming that the repairs could be done for 65,000. Now, this is going to be your first flip. So I would basically be as conservative as humanly possible and not be, as liberal with it. If you had done a ton of these, then it would be a little bit different. So based on that, if assuming that repairs could be at 65, then you could get this property done and pay up to 99,000, so almost 100,000 you could pay for the property, and
or you'd have to be willing to take a lesser profit.
Or you'd have to be taking a lesser profit. So now the way I came up with 55 on this particular property is that what I looked at was, okay, how much work is there? So there's a lot of work. So somebody really is going to have to pay attention to what is going on with this property. Otherwise, what's going to happen is, guess what? Your numbers are going to go askew. So it's not going to work out. So based on that, I mean, if I was to suggest a price, I would say you can't, based on our numbers, you really can't go higher than maybe 90 at max. Max. And this would not be a good property to bid on in this particular situation, just given the situation, unless you're sure you can wholesale it to somebody that you know for sure, then it's a different issue. But I think there's too many unknowns in the property, and so this is not a property I would buy or I would bid on from a standpoint of trying to do a wholesale, because you may end up losing the $2,500 deposit that you're putting up. So
Okay.
I'm okay with up to 85, 90, but I mean, certainly no higher. And the other issue on this property, which we do not know an answer to, is how many village liens, fines, all that kind of stuff exists on it, because we just haven't had enough time to get a FOIA back. So if we had that, I think it's a great property to bid on. So if for some reason this point it does not work out, I think for the next round of auction, we should definitely keep an eye on it. But for right now, I think the numbers are going to be tight.
Okay.
Okay.
Now we know.
Okay, great. Well, good. I'm glad you called in. I'm glad I was able to run out, take a look at the property, and talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, Andrew.
Bye-bye.
I'm still here.
Okay, I can hear you. Okay, good. So you got an idea of what the numbers are supposed to be?